With great strength comes great responsibility, and Raiden chose to use this strength of his for the sake of others. However, by doing so he stopped himself from truly enjoying his own strength, his own gift, and so only by fighting someone strong enough to face him at his best could Raiden fight both to enjoy himself and save those he loves. That is the true passion of the peerless Rikishi, Raiden Tamiamon. So if you find yourself entertained at any point during the video, then consider liking, subscribing and ringing that bell. Anyway, on with the video. Raiden's introduction comes before his match, and our initial interpretation of him is well not great. Before we even see him, we see a mass of used dishes and sake gourds, giving us the image of a man who indulges in gluttony, and then when we lay eyes on him he is asleep in a bed with more than a dozen ladies. This time it is the sin of sloth and lust that we see him exhibit. As Gaul says, he is like the incarnation of desire, and then once awoken his first thought is made with his crotch. Though this is of course just the surface of him, something I think was very much intentional, as Raiden is at heart a misunderstood man, a kind man who was seen as a monster. So to make us better understand this, we have first shown a lazy greedy pervert, so that our image of him can be shattered in the same way it is for the characters of the story, as despite this selfish, self-indulgent portrayal, at heart he is a genuinely selfless man who really wants to help people, this being best shown a moment later when Raiden asks which beauty is going to couple up with him, the implication being he is horny for his potential Valkyrie, yet when Thrud comes out sporting not a conventional beauty model physique, we don't get the actions of some stud looking only for a hot piece of ass. When Thrud says he must be disappointed that she is a monster, he embraces her, not with lust but with love. As more so than lust, it is love for others that spurs Raiden on, which is why Thrud's Volant form, a Mawashi, is so symbolic. It is her literally embracing him, and since this Volant allows him to control his muscles and so use his full power for the first time. In the same way he used his strength to help the people he loved, the woman that loves him is using her strength to help him, and so this Mawashi representing the power of his connections contrasts perfectly with Shiva's own body markings, which are the sign of his friendship with Rudra. As the match itself commences and we hear Raiden's introduction speech, one thing becomes very apparent. Obviously that he's strong, but more so than that, he is too strong. That he stood above others, he was banned from using techniques. That he won over and over. And that, as we will come to see, is one of the biggest burdens Raiden ever came to bear. His biggest foe was his own strength. And much like before, there is a disconnect between the way Raiden is presented and how he really is, with the crowd hyping up how sick the match is going to be, comparing this to his bouts of the past, basically implying this is going to be sumo. Yet Raiden himself is serious, he's all on business, hence why he starts the match himself, being the only other fighter except for Zeus to begin the match before the starting bell, this showing clear as day the type of time Raiden is on, for lack of a better word. And how does he start the match? With a drop kick, a Kinjite, a forbidden move in sumo. This is because Raiden is not here to fight as a sumo, this is not a match, this is a mission to eliminate the threat and save humanity. Something that confuses the crowd because, as said, they were expecting to see the mighty sumo. This action does not conform with the image they had of Raiden. He continues to pummel Shiva using moves no sumo would ever throw. As he says, his intention is to do nothing more than finish him. But Shiva does not share this view, treating the match as fun and games. Raiden of course calls his talk of fun annoying and goes on to say that all this chanting and cheering is meaningless. This is a life and death struggle for humanity. In Raiden's mind, turning this into an event is barbaric, but of course his opponent does not get this and merely sees this as fun and games. The clear dichotomy being that one is fighting purely for selfless reasons to save their species, and the other is fighting purely selfishly for their own amusement. Raiden declares that the will of humanity has been shackled by the gods, and that he will set it free. He has taken the entire burden of saving humanity, taking on all of its will, in order to win this match. His one and only intention is winning, no matter the methods, hence why he is happy to fight in a way no sumo ever would. And with the help of his Volant, he breaks the 100 seals that kept his constantly growing muscles in check and unleashed his full power. The significance of this being that before this he had never used his full strength before. In order to not be crushed to death by his own muscles, he has to seal them. In order to keep moving forward, that is what he had to do. The slight tragedy to this though is that Raiden has never before been able to use his full power. The sumo ring was too cramped for him, so he can never show the martial art he loved so much his full power. And now the moment he is able to fight with all his strength, it is not as a sumo. He cannot enjoy it because he is fighting with only one intention: to win. Fun does not factor into this fight for Raiden, and even if it is for the sake of humanity, he is using his strength, the kind he was meant to use to help others, to destroy someone, brutally exploding Shiva's arm in a cruel display of brute force. However, instead of ending the match, this action instead lit a fire under Shiva's behind, making him realise this match isn't just fun and games and taking on the duty of being the chief god of India. Shiva evolved from just being selfish. After this change in mindset, Shiva begins to dominate. Is the combination of enjoying the fight but also having a reason to fight that makes Shiva so strong. Is the will within his punches that makes his fists heavier, and this allows him to land a critical blow on Raiden. A blow that woke Raiden up, and so for the first time in the match, he genuinely smiled. The fire of Shiva's kick set Raiden's own heart alight and made him come to a similar realization to Shiva. Just fun or just duty? No, it must be both that is true passion. He doesn't throw aside his duty, but he doesn't stifle his desire for fun either. He always wanted to fight at full strength to put himself to the max, but never could. But now he had the chance to, a once in a lifetime chance to go all out and push Sumo, the thing he loves most, to even higher heights. Sumo, after all, never loved Raiden, but God did he love it. As we learn in his backstory, Raiden as a child was amazed by Sumo, and so when given the chance to have a go, he jumped at it, and well, he was good. Too good. So good his opponent got one shot and called Raiden a monster. This is the first time Raiden came to view his own muscles, his own strength, as a burden, to the point he curses the gods for giving him this body. But as his mother explains, his muscles are instead a gift from God. Basically, life is what you make of it. If something is a curse or a gift, well, that's up to you. And so Raiden chooses to see his strength as a gift, using it to help others in any way he could. He would use his power for the good of the weak. He would find fulfillment in helping others. But after his hometown was hit by great famine, simply helping out the village was no longer enough, and so he travelled to Edo in order to earn money using his strength. Despite his fears of being labelled a monster, he wished to try Sumo again. As if it was for the sake of others, he'd easily be seen as a monster. When Ozeki easily takes him down, the Sumo tells Raiden to pack his bags, but Raiden stands tall and says he will keep fighting on, this being of course because he cannot go home empty-handed. But much like how his mindset changed in the present, back here in the past, through these bouts, he comes to learn that Sumo is fun, and his reason to keep fighting changes from just being about feeding his family, but also to his love of Sumo. Sumo was the first thing he could put his full strength into, the first time he could use his power not just to help others but for his own sake too. In his first match, when he easily defeated his opponent, he feared a repeat of the past, but he was not seen as some monster. No, this time he was a peerless Rikishi. But of course, for as much fun as he was having himself, there was an equal amount of happiness being spread in his home village as a result of his actions. He could be self-fulfilled and help others. But eventually he once more became too strong, and he became not a mighty Rikishi, but a bully picking on the weak. The cruelty of Raiden's gift was that it made him too strong, and so he now faced a choice. Did he devote himself to his own happiness or to helping others? And he picked the latter, continuing to fight for the sake of his village, but unable to use his full power, and as such was unable to fully enjoy Sumo. The brief happiness he felt as a rookie Sumo vanished the moment he truly stepped into the ring, and so he came to understand a cruel lesson. Fun and responsibility cannot intermingle. He had to put his own enjoyment, his own sake aside if he was to help others. His passion had to be sacrificed so his loved ones could be happy. And given that mindset, his attitude at the start of the match becomes a lot more understandable. Raiden equated Sumo with having fun, and since he was just fighting to win, he didn't fight as a Sumo. He didn't limit himself as he was trying to win, but funny enough, by doing so he limited himself from using his full power. Shiva proved to Raiden that he could handle him at his strongest, and because of this Shiva unsealed his true strength, allowing himself to become a Rikishi once more. He had no fear of being a bully, and so could go all out and for the first time in this match, fought like a Sumo. As Shiva says, he is starting to enjoy this. Which is true because now he is fighting for his own sake too, to prove what his Sumo can really do. Which I think we'd all agree he pulls off quite well, since he, with his first proper Sumo move, rips off two of Shiva's arms. However, as a result his body begins to fall apart, representing how even his own body cannot contain his passion. But Raiden doesn't care, not in some selfless hero way of risking his life for others. No, he wants to risk his whole body on this for his own sake, because he is a Rikishi. As Brunhild states, the more one is burdened with emotions, be them their own or of others, the stronger they become. And in this final clash, both Shiva and Raiden were full to burst with such emotions, which is why it's fitting this final clash is a literal battle of their lives' attrition. literally whose body will keep up longer, who can will their body to keep fighting longer. But do notice that the whole time Raiden never let his hands or knees touch the ground once, because he held the pride of not just his sumo, but all sumo upon his back. And to make this even greater, the cheers of those behind him, those who are willing him with emotion, give him even more power. He never was a monster. And the fact everyone is cheering for him, for the man using his full strength no matter how monstrous it may be, proves bright as day that this strength of his is nothing to be ashamed of. It's no curse, it is truly a gift. For the first time he was able to fight at full strength, and better yet, it was simultaneously a fight for the sake of helping others, but also the best damn fight of his life. And so that he would know for sure he didn't hold back one bit, he used his strongest attack once more, Yatagarasu. And even if in the end it was not enough, it was still his best. And that's all he ever really wanted, to throw out his best for the sake of those he cared for. And so even as he was about to die, he tried to spare Thrud, a truly selfless man. But what he didn't fully understand was that as much as he loved others, they loved him back. And Thrud couldn't think of anything worse than leaving him alone at the end. She loved him back, and so she stayed with him to the end. As much like how he did not see her as a monster, she had to prove to him that he was no monster, he was loved. In the same way he would die for the sake of his loved ones, they too would die alongside him. Shiva went on to end the match using his strongest move once more, as he showed the peerless Rikishi no pity. He showed him his best. And even as he died, he remained standing on his feet, neither his hands nor his knees hitting the floor, because he saw this match through to the end as nothing more than human history's greatest sumo. And so after his loss, no one blamed him or accused him of failing his duty. Instead, he was sent off with pride, because he tried his damn hardest for their sakes. He was a hero, he was a sumo, he was Raiden Tamiamon, the peerless Rikishi. And if you want to support this channel even further, then perhaps pledge to my Patreon, or consider becoming a channel member, so you can get your name at the end of the video, like Hikari Desu, Rinjak9696, Mr. Sputton, and Matthias Rowett. So with all that said and done, I have been SephTheSin, the deadly sin of geek, and I'm signing out. Stay safe, everyone.